Hey, hello everyone. If today is your first time on the channel, please subscribe to the channel, and I promise you I will deliver top-notch content. All right. Today I intend to talk about how to become a lawyer in the United States. Yes, but basically I will look at only two jurisdictions: New York and then California. Yes, I will explain why these two jurisdictions. And if you want me to tackle any other jurisdiction subsequently, I will do that. I would also work on videos on the Canadian legal system and how to become a lawyer as an international trained attorney or law graduate, and then the UK system, so that you will make a decision. All right. Those very videos is inspired by the challenges I went through as an internationally trained lawyer, or I should put it, an international law graduate. Yeah. Seeking to qualify for the New York bar. I realized through my application process a lot of information gap, and sometimes there are things that I seek to understand and appreciate better, but then you serve the net, and you hardly get any information to aid your curiosity. But after having gone through and having experienced some of the modus operandi and how things really work, I have decided to put out this video to help those who are yet to or looking forward to apply as international trained lawyers to become lawyers in New York and then California. So I will start with New York. And please permit me, I may be very biased to the New York system because that is a system I am intending to qualify. So if I am giving so much information on the New York system other than California, I will do my best to make sure I balance the information so that you will get to make a decision on which one is more apposite for you. All right, so I will start with the New York bar. Things you need to know as an international lawyer when before you even apply for the New York bar. You look at it from two dimensions. New York bar is so liberal and open to the extent that they've even made provision for lawyers trained in other jurisdictions apart from the common law jurisdiction. So lawyers from civil law country are able to even qualify in New York, except that they will go through a protracted system, which I will explain. So the first part of this discussion will be for those who have been trained as lawyers or LLB or law graduate from a common law jurisdiction. All right, so these are the requirements you need to meet in order to be able to sit for the New York bar exams. All right. First of all, you must have an LLB or a law degree, depending on how it is called from your jurisdiction. The US call it a JD, but then from my country we call it LLB. I don't know how it is called in your country, but then the most important thing is that it must be a law degree which has been taught or modeled on the common law system. So basically they will look at the country of study. For instance, I'm from Ghana, and the legal system over here is a common law legal system. If you happen to be from other countries like Nigeria, the Gambia, Australia, Canada, India, Israel, the United Kingdom, and then there's several other common law jurisdictions, then you are a step away through your process. So first of all, you must have a law degree from a common law jurisdiction, and this law degree must satisfy two requirements. What the board calls the substantial requirement, and then the durational requirement. The substantial requirement basically means that the law degree must meet the substance of a JD degree. So for instance, your law degree must cover the core common law subject like law of contract, criminal law, which is taught, for instance, in my jurisdiction. Criminal law 1 is modeled on the common law system before we look at the statutory criminal law. But then you must have that basic common law principles in criminal law. So contract, criminal law. You have which other one? Contract, criminal law, tort. Yeah, the law of tort. What am I like? Why? Equity and other common law contracts. Yes, other common law core courses. Those are what you need to be able to fulfill the substantial requirements. So basically, if you are coming from a common law jurisdiction and your LLB is model on a common law system, it is deemed that you have met the substantial requirement prima facie. But then they will still have to review your transcript to ascertain that indeed you have met it. But prima facie, if you are coming from a common law jurisdiction, it is presumed that you have met a substantial requirement. The second aspect will be for you to be able to meet the durational requirement. Durational requirement by the board definition is that you should at least have completed your LLB within 3 years, a minimum period of 3 years. A minimum period of 3 years. So if your LLB is was studied for a period of 3 years at least, then you are deemed to have also met the substantial requirement. For instance, I'm from Ghana, and my LLB, and just like any other undergraduate program, is taken for 4 years. So from the word go, I knew very well I have met the durational requirement because it requires that my LLB should have been taken for a minimum period of 3 years. I took my LLB for 4 years, and then the substantial requirement requires that I should have my LLB modeled on the common law system and from a complete common law jurisdiction, which date back to the 19th century. Then it means that I have met these. But then that is not it. It is not for you to determine whether or not you have met the eligibility to sit for the bar examination, which qualifies you to be a lawyer in New York. No, you are required to seek for evaluation to determine your eligibility to sit for the bar examination from the board, which is the New York Board of Law Examiners. All right, these are the things you need to know even before you make your application. The board operates a system that evaluates application individually. So per whatever standard they are using, they may determine that yes, I'm from Ghana, I've taken my LLB and awarded, and my LLB has been awarded by KNUST, so I meet the requirement. They can decide that, oh, you are also from Ghana, yes, you have taken LLB for 4 years just like myself, but then you have not met the requirement, and so it is done case by case study. But then one thing I realized, and what I have read and also heard from the consultant I engage on my process, is that it's very difficult, it's unlikely that such situation would happen. So what you have to do to determine eligibility is that one, you must first of all create an account, what we call the bull account, and that's a Board of Law Examiners account. When you create the account, an ID will be generated for you. That is the ID you will attach for all international correspondence. So when I send a document to them, the ID must be stated. When you are calling the board, you must first of all provide them with their ID in order for them to know who they are interacting with, so that they can link your call to your database. So that is it. After you have created your bull ID, the next step, and after creating your bull ID, the next step is now to make your online application. On the online application, they will ask you basic question. Okay, your name, your passport ID, and then they will ask you for the institution you are coming from. So you will select the country and the institution. After selecting the institution, they will now have you to enter your program. and after entering the program, a space will be provided for you to enter the start date and end date of every semester. For instance, I did 4 years, so I did 8 semesters. My first semester began on the 15th of October 2013, and it ended somewhere in March 2014. You have to provide all this detail. So first semester start date and end date, second semester start date and end date. You have to provide all those things. After having gone through that and completed that process, then you will have to go through the next and final step for your evaluation process. That is to send them the required document. These are the documents you are supposed to send to the board to aid them with your eligibility. You would have to send your LLB transcript and certificate. Please forgive me, I'm using LLB because that is the certificate I have. If you are coming from a jurisdiction where a law degree is not called LLB, yes, you are not ruled out. The name of the degree is not the substance of the issue. The issue has to be that it is a law degree and it meets the substantial and durational requirement here. All right, so you have to send your degree certificate and then the transcript. The certificate is normally not required. It is normally not required. It is only required when your transcript does not indicate the degree awarded, the class, and the date. My transcript have all these information, but I still wanted to be on the safer side so that I won't have my application delayed because the board feel they need my certificate. So I decided to be on the safer side to attach my certificate along with my transcript. All right, the second thing you will need to is a proof of accreditation. You must send a letter which proves that your institution have been accredited to offer the very degree, that is the law degree. I was fortunate because my institution had already been verified by them. When I talk about verification, the board maintains a system whereby they keep records. So if you have someone who have previously applied from your institution and have provided the board with this information, when you are making a subsequent application, the board will not require you to prove that your institution is accredited. No, they already have that in their database. So when I was filling the online application form and I had to select my country, Ghana, the institutions that appeared, 4 institutions appeared. Unfortunately for my institution was one of the 4. So the requirement that I need to submit the proof of accreditation was waived for me. But if you're not fortunate to be in my situation, you happen to send them a proof of accreditation, that's the best way you have to do. You have to contact the accreditation authority in your country and then ask them to provide a letter which indicate that your institution has been accredited to run the law degree which you enrolled for. So normally what will happen is that you are not supposed to submit these documents on your own. You will need to have the institution, the issuing institution, do the submission on your behalf. But sometimes these institutions are very reluctant. So I will tell you how I was able to facilitate the sending of my transcript and certificate from my university. Let me finish walking you through the document, then I will give you a cue about all these. After the next document that is need is a proof of meeting the educational requirement to qualify as an attorney or lawyer in your jurisdiction. So for instance, if you are already qualified as a lawyer, from your jurisdiction, you will need to provide them your bar certificate, a copy of your bar certificate. But if you are not qualified and you are an LLB graduate or a law degree graduate here, you will need to ask the accreditation authority, not the institution accreditation, but then the bar regulatory body. For instance, in my country, we have the General Legal Council, which is responsible for the regulation of the legal profession. So they will need to give me a cover letter to prove that yes, I have gone through training and that I have met the educational requirement to be qualified as a lawyer. For instance, in my country, we have two system of legal education: the theoretical aspect and then the professional aspect. So after you go through law school and then you complete your 4-year degree program, you will need to go through a postgraduate professional training. Yeah, and this is the case in several other jurisdictions like Nigeria, I know, and even the United Kingdom do have the same jurisdiction, the same practice, yes. But you are not required to even go through the professional aspect. What matters most is that you have completed the educational requirement to go through the professional stage of qualification. I don't know if I'm making sense here. Yeah, but then that is basically the whole thing. So if you are not already called to the bar, then you are required to furnish the board with a letter. And if you are not able to get a letter, because some of these regulatory bodies are very indifferent towards our request, one thing you can also do is that you can furnish the board with a copy of the law regulating the legal profession, which specify clearly that your degree is enough for you to enter the profession. So for instance, from my country, Ghana, we have what we call the Legal Profession Act. I just will have to provide a portion of the Legal Profession Act, which indicate that in order to be qualified as a lawyer, you need to hold a law degree which have been accredited by the accrediting authorities. You get the whole vibe. Yes. So that is the next, and I think that's the last thing you will need to do. So a recap: you need your certificate, your transcript, and if possibly you attach your certificate. And I'll ask you to attach it, even though it's optional, but attach it so that you'll be on the safer side and you won't have your degree, your evaluation delayed. That's the first thing you will need. The second thing is a proof of accreditation. That is to prove that your institution has been accredited by the appropriate authorities in your country to offer the degree. And then the third is to prove that you have met the educational requirement in your country to be qualified as a lawyer. And the way to prove this is, if you are already qualified as a lawyer, you need to provide your bar certificate. If you are not yet qualified as a lawyer, then you will need a cover letter from the regulatory authority in your country, the bar regulatory authority in your country. Sorry. Or better still, you can furnish them with the enabling act, which attests to the fact that your degree is enough or satisfy the educational requirement. Having done this, the whole point here is that you must note you are not required to do the sending by yourself. The issuing institution must do the sending. Yes. So what I did personally is I wrote to my institution, indicating that yes, I need a certificate and transcript, which need to be sent on my behalf to the board of law examiners. Even with in my case, I had to send my certificate to the university for the university to attest to it. Right? They need to give them a certified copy so that I get back my original. Yeah. So what I did, I sent my certificate along with my application. The university prepared the document, and instead of me to have them do the transmission themselves, no. Normally the university has a structured system of going through these things, and it may take like two weeks to get it done. But I had to ask them to make it available for me so that I pick it and send it to the agency that will be doing the sending, that is DHL. I chose to use DHL. So the institution sealed the envelope. I did not get to see the content in the envelope. They sealed it, and after sealing it, they had to stamp the back. So after stamping everything to make it sure that it's a sealed document, which I am not privy to the content, I took it, I went to the DHL office, and then I have to furnish them with my institutional address, the institution's address, so that it's what they call it, prove that it is coming from the institution. These are some of the hacks you can employ to make sure that you get your documentation go through the system without any protracted delay. All right, so that is it. And one other thing you must also bear in mind is that the application process is such that you must prove that your degree was taken in person, the board will not accept a degree that was administered online. Yes, that is one of the requirements that, and it falls within the substantial requirement. The requirement is that your degree must be taught in person. And sometimes you ask yourself, how is the board able to ascertain some of these things? So when I asked the university I attended to add an extra letter indicating that I have gone through training at the university and my course for the entire 4-year period was administered on campus in person. There was not even a single hour spent online. So that is it. And because of, unfortunately, for those who are whose degree fell within the COVID period, between the period of 2020 and 2021, most of international universities had to close running, and they had to move to the online system. This has caused a lot of rejection. But then one thing is, if you are rejected and you feel you've been rejected unfairly, you have to make further application to the board to petition the board that yes, you have been rejected unfairly, and then you have to provide any further and better particulars to make out your case. So that is it, and that is a process for those of us who are trained from the common law system. And we will not, we say we do not need any cure provision. But if you do not meet these, the substantial and the durational requirement, then the board will refer you to a cure procedure or a provision. That is, yes, you have not been able to meet the basic requirement, even though you are from the common law system. So you may move to the cure, and with the cure, you will go with those from the civil law jurisdiction. Yeah. Normally it takes up to 6 months for you to hear from the board. But in my case, it took me 13 months. Remember, like the anxiety. After, in fact, everything seems to be normal. After the 6 months that is provided by the board, in fact, they indicated it takes a minimum of 6 months. After the 6 months, I became very anxious. What is happening? 6 months has elapsed already. It took me 13 months before I heard from the board that yes, my evaluation has been approved. I can go ahead and then take the bar. The jubilation, the excitement. Yeah, some people are fortunate that it takes them just 6 weeks. Yes, 6 weeks. Some 12 weeks. Like that, it varies. You can't get a standard, so you must make advanced evaluation application so that you would have enough time to prepare and also plan. That is very key. Now I will touch on those who will need a cure provision. That is those from common law jurisdiction but have failed to meet the substantial and then the durational requirement, and those from the civil law jurisdiction, what they need to do in order to be able to meet the requirement to take the bar. All right, so let me start with those from common law jurisdiction who will need a cure. These are persons who may be substantially, though they are from normally their situation was with the duration and not substantial. So for instance, you are from common law jurisdiction, you have taken the substantial common law courses on your law degree, but because some part of your law degree was administered online, you will not be able to meet the eligibility requirement to go through and sit for the bar exams at the first instance. You will need to cure your the online part, or maybe you are from a common law jurisdiction but then you took your degree for 2 years, you have failed to meet the 3-year requirement, and you will need to go through a cure. The cure provision is that you will take 1 year LLM from an approved ABA law school. The ABA is the Association of I think the American Bar Association. Yes, they maintain a list of accredited law schools, so you have to take. They design an LLM program which normally span for a period of 1 year for those who are coming in outside the United States but then would want to qualify as lawyers in the United States. So you have to go through that, and that is the same process for those lawyers from civil law jurisdiction. If you are from a civil law jurisdiction, then you need to be a lawyer to be able to be considered to go through the cure provision. So let's say those from France and other civil law countries who want to be lawyers in the United States, you will need to go through that process of taking an LLM 1 year. But then from a civil law jurisdiction, a law degree is not enough. You need to be a qualified lawyer from your jurisdiction before the care of probation will apply to you. That is it. In the subsequent video, I will talk about other aspects you need to know about the New York bar after evaluation worthiness, and then also especially those from the UK who need to who have taken the LPC, the how do you call it? What's the LPC? Is it the LPC? Yes, the 1 year conversion program for non-lawyers or non-LLB graduates to go through training as lawyers. I will talk about the deficiencies and why they are not eligible to sit for the New York bar examination at the first instance. Then I will deal with the California bar. I don't want to do a very long video, so this will end the part 1. I will do a part 2 which I will tackle these issues I agree. All right, thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed yet, hey, don't wait any, subscribe. I'm promising you I will deliver top-notch content, top-notch content. And also, if there is something you want me to clarify in subsequent video, please drop a comment and I will tackle that. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you. I wish you so well in your journey to become an international lawyer.